thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Man, it's so good to see you again. The first time I met you was on this show.
It is, yes.
All those years ago. With when you were on with Trevor.
With Trevor. Last time, yeah, that was Trevor, and you came back. It was really nice.
No, I come back to meet all the Asians. Only. Yeah, so you were my showrunner and executive producer on this TV show, and there was a lot of stuff I couldn't ask you at the time. But now that you're a guest on my show, I got some questions for you. First of all, between me, Chloe Bennet, and Jimmy O Yang, who got paid the most? You don't have to be specific, but just indicate who was the highest paid one, and I'll be sure. Okay.
Taika Waititi.
Oh, Taika was, yeah, okay. That makes sense. Oh, yeah, Taika was also the director of the pilot, and he was the EP on the show as well. Yes. And you have a working relationship with him?
I do. So as we all do, right? We had fun.
Yeah.
He directed that scene that you just showed.
But how did you get to work with him?
You know, I think a little bit of luck. I mean, I had been working with him on a project that I can't really talk about yet, but the script for this, I think maybe his manager or somebody sent it to him, and somehow he read it and liked it enough that he wanted to do it.
Oh, so he actually worked on this based on the strength of, it wasn't a pre-existing relationship, it was something you showed him your work on this project. And...
I think so, yeah.
Right,
I don't know.
No, it must have been, right?
Yeah.
You didn't know him before. You're too modest. You don't want to. You showed him the project, and it wasn't like you guys were friends before.
We weren't friends, but we had been working together a little bit before.
A little bit before.
Okay. Yeah, we never talked about it. I never mentioned like, oh, I have this thing, because I felt too weird about it. Maybe like because I'm Asian, I felt weird about like, here's this other thing that you might be interested in, and then all of a sudden I was hearing word like, oh, Taika Waititi might be interested in the pilot, and I just couldn't believe it. I was like, sort of descended from Marvel heaven to like come and like, you know, be part of our project, which was really amazing. And that really gave it all kinds of momentum.
Right, and how was it like working with him? I asked you.
I mean,
I asked myself. Yeah.
That scene is. How was it?
Oh, it was great. Thanks for asking. It was great. Like, yeah, switch it around. Like, I thought he was great. I thought he came and he was like so creatively free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've never seen someone who was that. Like, I think we all aspire to be as free creatively as him, right?
Yeah, he's wild. He has the kind of wild creative energy. You can't really harness it. You don't want to, you know?
Sure.
I think that scene is such a good example. Like, it's one of the funniest clips. You showed it. I didn't write that line.
Right, right.
I just came to set a little bit late from, like, I don't know, lunch or something, and that you guys were filming that, and I was like, that's really funny. I wish I had.
Oh, right.
So I don't know who came up with it, you, Jimmy, or Taika. But...
I mean, it's a creative collaboration, but it was me, really, who came up with it. I remember when that. No, I'm just saying. No, it's not a creative collaboration. Well, I mean, we kind of launched into it, but you know, the problem is like I feel like I did the press tour with you for this show, and everyone wants like the elevator pitch for this show, which is so annoying because it's just like tell me in 5 seconds. Or I won't watch it. But now that we have time, and this is my show now, so freaking, the elevator pitch. Like, tell us what the show's about. Like,
speaking of which, I have to show. I'm wearing Ronny Chieng socks.
Oh, okay. Okay. Show it for the camera. We've had this.
Can you get it?
Yeah, show him my by the way. Can you make it clear that? Oh, Christmas colors. We got the Christmas colors. I got green, and you got.
I don't know if I can get my leg.
Thanks for trying to sell that. I didn't need you to. We sell these socks enough on this show. Everyone's really angry about it. Paramount's like trying to take a cut of this. But what's the non-elevator pitch for this show?
You would think I would have it down by now. Right. You know, it's a show. I think it's about roles. I think it's about how people, like, imagine if you woke up one day and you were living inside of a universe where Spider-Man was real. And like Spider-Man was on the news, and you weren't a superhero. You were just like, oh, there's Spider-Man, right?
You're just some Asian guy.
You're just some Asian guy in a Spider-Man movie.
Right.
That's sort of what this is like. It's like Willis Wu, the main character played by Jimmy O Yang, he lives inside of a show that is basically like Law and Order type police procedural. And that's his reality. And so essentially what this season is about is he has a very small role to play, which is really no role. Like, he's a waiter at this restaurant that's in the background of this police show. He has no lines. He's not really in the story. And in the course of the pilot, he says he's kind of drawn into the story, and he has a chance to say, I don't know if I want to accept my role. You know, he's kind of dealing with both how other people have defined him and limited him, and he's also dealing with his own internal kind of limitations. And so he basically breaks out of his role, which is, you know, the tagline of the show, break out of your role. But in the course of doing that, he sort of disrupts the whole ecosystem, because when this guy sort of starts changing his lines, everybody in the kind of world he lives in is a little bit messed up now. And so it kind of has these ripple effects. And that's, you know, that's sort of the non-elevator pitch, which is to say, like, you know, I wrote the book, you know, wanting to kind of tell a story about what it's like to be someone like Willis Wu, you know? And
a background character.
A background character. Someone who doesn't feel like their story really matters. And, you know, what does it look like if you take the background character and say, you know, this story could be yours now if you choose to kind of accept that mission.
Right. And how much money did Jimmy make on the show per episode?
He's still going at it.
Okay, so because this it'll help my contract negotiations if I. Did he get a companion ticket for this? Could he bring? Because sometimes I try to bring my wife on, and you know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about we'll do the contract stuff after. One thing I really love about this book is that it's not. Written, in my opinion, it's not written in a traditional narrative. And as someone who, narrative structure, I mean, you know, because it starts off as a screenplay, and then it kind of, you know, it becomes like I don't want to spoil it, but it becomes almost like a legal drama. In my opinion, it doesn't, as someone or anyone out there who's watching, who's trying to write something original, it's kind of out of a template, you know, because oftentimes when we're making stuff now, I feel like we're just kind of reduced to filling in a template for how a story should go, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, you know, whatever the Dan Harmon hero's journey. Mm-hmm. So how did you manage to break out of that rule, you know, when you're writing this book?
Yeah, I mean, I think it felt like, I don't know, I follow the rule of like not right towards my strengths, but right away from my weaknesses. And I just always am interested in trying to subvert or change the thing that I'm playing around with. To me, I get bored of my own writing almost immediately. You know, if I try to like put on a serious writer hat and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good novel, you know, it's like by the second page, I'm already bored.
Oh.
So I always have to kind of find a side door into something. I always have to I just enjoy taking things and sort of just tweaking them. And so for me, that's what this was, is just like taking the idea of a police procedural, which we all sort of know, and I love them, you know, because it's this really kind of comfortable, well kind of established form, and then you sort of can play around within that, and then meanwhile the audience can just be like, oh, I'm watching a cop show. This is just a really weird cop show.
Right. And it's also rare that someone who you know wrote the book on it and it got adapted into a TV series. Yeah. It's kind of rare for like the author of the book to be so intimately involved in the making of the TV show. You know, not just show running, but actually writing it with a team of writers. But you were head writing it. Yeah. So I mean, would you have trusted anyone else to adapt this? I guess is the question.
I should have, probably. It's harder than it looks. You know, I probably not. It's so personal in a lot of ways. You know, I think the original inspiration for that book was my mom and dad, who were, you know, immigrants from Taiwan, and I had these pages. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with them. It wasn't even a book yet. You know, I sent it to my agent. She was like, "This is great," and I thought, "Oh, I'm almost done." And then, like 8 years later, I finished the book. You know, and I think then Hulu called and they're like, "Let's make that a show." And I probably should have said, get someone who knows how to do it, but I wanted to do it myself.
Right.
And it was an incredible journey, but it is pretty special they let me do it.
Well, I thought you did a great job on it. I was there the whole time. And
technically, I'm not your boss right now, so you don't have to say.
Yeah, I know. That's how you know I mean it. That's how you know I mean it. I got a few more questions for you here. I think this is the only time we'll ever be able to talk about this on American TV, but why is it so difficult talking about being an Asian man in America?
That's a good question. I don't think you're having difficulty. I think I don't know.
trying.
I don't know. I watched your special. I think it was during the pandemic. Asian Comedian Destroys America, and I remember feeling like I kind of like got inspired. I got really just like, you just lit a flame under me, because I do think it's really hard. I think I don't want to like. I'm not asking for like pity or trying to be a sort of like, oh, woe is me. At all.
You don't want to play a discrimination Olympics here.
Definitely not. Definitely, I would lose at that.
Right.
I mean, I think I'm a like incredibly lucky, privileged person. My parents came to America. They are, lived 2/3 of their lives in America. They're Americans, and so I've only lived here, and like it's an incredible like thing that they could come here and then I could be talking to you here in front of, like about this book that I wrote about them learning how to play the role of being an American. That's an amazing thing to me. So to me, it's hard to talk about because you sort of have to be able to hold two ideas in your head at once, which is it can be hard being invisible, it can be hard being marginalized, and I'm not a victim at the same. It's like I want to talk about how this guy Willis and his family have stories worth telling, and there's no trauma necessarily. There's no necessarily like some huge tragedy. It's just a story of these people, assimilating and becoming Americans. And, I think it's a complex story. Maybe that's why it's hard.
Sure. Well, there is some trauma in it. I mean, it's not completely no trauma.
That's true.
You're being modest again with the discrimination. That your background is also very interesting. I mean, right now I'm just trying to get a raise from you, so I'm just going to keep complimenting. People don't know this, but
They're applauding that.
Yeah, I know. They're capitalists. They know what I'm trying to do. So you majored undergraduate. You were majoring in molecular and cellular biology.
Yes.
And then you got a law degree.
Right.
Then you worked in corporate law, and then you became a TV writer. So
Yes.
Your level of expertise here is just out of control. So I need some advice from you.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Just speaking to your expertise.
Please.
Do you think that the Delaware Supreme Court's recent decision in the match case expanding the scope of the MFW framework to include entire fairness review for non-freeze-out controlled shareholder mergers will make market-responsive consolidation too efficient?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Good. That's it. Also, well, we're talking about legal issues here. Like the fridge in my apartment broke, and like the groceries like went off.
Yeah.
So like, who's responsible for that? Is it my landlord, or do I have to pay for that, or like, what's the tenant law on that?
I don't know. I was kind of a B student in law school, to be honest. It's been a long time, Ronny.
All right.
You're a lawyer.
I'm a lawyer. I don't even know what the answer is to that. The New York landlord law is so crazy. Here's another question for you. A new system-level model revealed that transcriptional schosasticity is required for hematopoietic stem cell differentiation. Are you shocked by these findings?
To be clear, I was also a B student in biology.
Okay.
That's why I'm a writer.
Yeah, an Asian B means A. We know what that means.
No.
Just make...
Yeah.
Tell us something about biology.
I majored in biology, it's true, at Berkeley, and it was hard. Go Bears, go Bears. And then I did not get into any medical schools,
So then you went to law.
So I went to law school, yeah. To my parents' disappointment.
And you worked in law, and then you went to a law firm, and you worked for years, and then you became a writer. I gotta ask the obligatory, any quick advice for all these people out there who are, in the corporate world and they're trying to get into creative industries?
Yeah.
Any words of wisdom?
Yeah. Get B's in biology.
Be a bad student, and you too could end up on The Daily Show. All right. Listen, Charles, you wrote a great book. You made a great TV show. Thank you so much for having me on it. It's a story that needed to be told. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Interior Chinatown is streaming now on Hulu, and the book is available everywhere. Hey, Charles Yi, everybody.